flying by the seat of our pants. Oh yeah.
The doors of the Love Church are now open. Dear world, you name it, we cover it from the world of singles to the behind the scenes of the greatest movie ever filmed, called Marriage. We dig into everything from dating 101. Why won't they commit? It's complicated. I can't do it if it's the three of us. They're a good person, but I'm not attracted to them in that way. 2, they really didn't disclose who they were before I said I do. How do I do this if they can't keep a job? The bills are paid, but the bedroom is suffering. Did I marry you or did I marry your family? Because we only can take care of us. Let's open up our marriage. Why do I have to buy into your beard gang illusion? You could have told me you were down low and we could have remained friends and not married. And last but not least, did you marry me or your pastor? Have we gotten your attention yet? If so, tune in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to hear more of today's real issues in the world of love. The doors of the Love Church are now open.
All right. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Adam Ford. How are you, sir?
What's up, family? I'm doing okay. I'm struggling. As you can probably hear, I got a little congestion going on, got a little cold. So if I start hacking, y'all know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? If I start having a fit, you know what's happening.
So on that same note, were you like in the water? Were you swimming or something that you just kind of like, you know how they do, you know, your mother back in the day would say, then you watch out, you'll catch a death pneumonia.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how this happened, man. I mean, we had a good time in Cancun. We really did have an enjoyable time there. It was fun. Okay, let me not get off. But yeah, I don't know how I caught this cold.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I caught it like the last couple of days that we were there, and I was like, what a way to go out. But I mean, Cancun was nice. It was cool. It was nice, warmer weather than what I have right now. God knows that's true. We got back in last night, and that 30-degree weather, Lord have mercy.
It was really, it's really cold, huh?
I mean, yeah, especially when you're coming from a place that was like really warm, and then you come back to a place that's really cold. I'm like, can I go back?
That probably didn't help it, and especially if you really wasn't prepared or dressed in a certain way, you probably didn't help it.
Fine, but you know, I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
So here we are. So by way of interesting news, there's constantly things going on and about, and things are always constantly happening in the world. But you are able to hear me pretty good, right? Just want to make sure we're on the same page today.
We can hear you so far.
All right. And also, I know not everybody may not know this or be privy to who this particular person is, but just want to send out condolences to the family of Mr. Rayful Edmond. He's somebody that Adam and I grew up. We grew up in the DC area. Very popular figure. Let's just say was very much responsible for a lot of DC's urban crisis back in the 80s, 90s, and then some. A lot of trend setting, some connotations not so good, but a personality nonetheless. No one wants to see anybody, expire for just period, so and especially after the person, I want to say, Adam, he was released in July. And I remember seeing him on the video. He was just all, vivacious and everything. And then so when you hear these abrupt things like this, you're just like, well, dang. It definitely makes you think about life for sure.
Definitely.
It makes you think about life and how uncertain things can be. You just never know from day to day. So we have so that's people, when we wake up, we have to just thank the Creator for allowing us to open our eyes and see another day. For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We ain't getting no younger, Mr. Ford. But anyway.
No, we're not. That's the thing. And I'm thinking about him, and I'm thinking about me, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, we ain't like getting no younger. You think about it. You might look in the mirror and think that I'm okay. I ain't too wrinkled or nothing.
Right.
I still got life, but then you be like, I don't know. But yeah.
Right. Right.
cool.
Real talk, man. Real talk.
All right, so I think today's topic may be a bit disruptive, but hey, we love it. We love it like that. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right. So let me kind of X this out before Mr. Ford reads it. I thought about this topic today because I think about it, and I was kind of curious, even though I say it could be disruptive, and I only say that from a mindset of it can disrupt the way someone perceives a certain thing or have been living a certain way. So to them, they could be like, what are you talking about? This has worked, whether it's really worked or not, they'll say it's worked, right? And that's just that. And so the thing is, I often think about how we find ourselves either dating someone, starting out in a particular relationship, moving forward, at a place where we kind of engage, moving forward, and then onward. Mm-hmm. I think about a lot of times how we don't necessarily date and relate from the true actual place we both are. Meaning, if we just meet and we just getting together and we are learning one another, very few people take the time to start to just strip things down about one another and just organically get to know the person and learn them just for them, minus agendas. And when I say agendas, it doesn't necessarily mean deceptive, but agendas like, well, I have this in my mind, or this is what I'm planning, and this is what I would like to see. And so this kind of commonly happens when, let me kind of pull this together. There's a married man, or I'm sorry, a formerly married man. He's divorced. He's back on the scene again. So being as though he has been a husband, he understands life at a different altitude, right? He understands the importance of certain things. I need to make sure my wife feels secure. I need to make sure I'm, consistent over here, making sure, because I gotta take care of this household. So it comes with a whole different stack of cards, right? So when that person goes back to the reality of being single, like you're not married no more, you're single. Mm-hmm. What I think happens a lot is formerly married enters back into the single pool with single/married mindset. Not single, right? Not single alone. And I say /married because if you think this guy, let's just say the guy comes back, he meets someone, nice lady, nothing wrong with her. He likes her, she's cool. Mm-hmm. But how is he looking at her? Is he looking at her to say, we're gonna press the reset button and we're gonna just go from zero and build? Or is he coming in at level 5 saying, now look, now Nadine did this for me for over 10 years. Now I ain't come out here on the street to date nobody to see that you can't do it. To me, I think that's unfair, right? Because that you can't expect a woman that's a single woman that has not been married to dote on you like someone that has, right? She may have had a mother or aunts that she could have taken a lot of things from and been like, oh, I see how Aunt Carol do, or how she fixed my grandfather's meal. But it's different from viewing and being, right? You can say that. There's one thing, we can talk about this, but unless you have been, you can't necessarily compare.
You don't know.
So I think I'm talking about this show because I think a lot of us run into roadblocks and trouble because we're not dating from where we actually are. We're dating from either where we've been or where we see things wanting to go. And you're not giving the relationship a chance to organically make its strides because you already come into it at a deficit. Maybe the marriage took something from you.
Okay. Maybe
you had a certain lifestyle. You lived a certain way. You drove a certain way. Mm-hmm. But in this interim of being divorced or single, what have you, you're looking at your next as how can I pick up the ball where I already had it running, as opposed to saying, I know I was married, but I'm not right now. Right. So I need to revisit the way I look at this and start anew. But many of us don't do that, right? We come into it, well, I was married, and so I need you to act like a husband, act like a wife, or you ain't ready.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where the crust. And I'm only using, just FYI, I'm only using the married part as one example. I have many more other things, but that's the prominent one. So that's why I kind of use that like that.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Read on into it, and let's go on because they're about to start on up. Let's go.
They already started. All right. The blurred lines of love. Does your status mirror your truth? Most of us at some point have heard the phrase, act your age and not your shoe size, which means someone should behave in a way that is appropriate to their age and maturity level. So if we were to flip that same concept over in the world of love and relationships, I'd aptly coin the phrase as act your true status and not your wishful desire. Relationship behaviors often clash with its various statuses when a person desires certain reactions from their partner that are not yet relevant to where the relationship currently resides. Somebody says with me on tonight, or somebody say with me on tonight, yeah. We're not there yet. A great example of this reflected best with the concept of the divorcee, where individuals have been accustomed to certain marital behaviors that bring about certain securities, such as emotional resolution, in some cases, financial well-being, its expectations with the bliss that often conveys with the such union. That said, one can see how hard it is to compare the life of the married to the single. This is the most common example but there are certainly others. Help us and join us as we unpack what proper relationship status behaviors looks like. So there we have
it. So like you said, you see kind of where this is. It's a thing. Hopefully this is coming clear to some of you. I know it could be a little, blurred, but I'm just trying to say I'm trying to put out there to just kind of leave a kind of a nugget of thought to kind of ask ourselves either when you were, how you are now, or how you desire. Do you think you're at a place where you have stripped agendas, if you will? I keep using that word because agendas is kind of, it can be good and bad, right? Agendas could be, you got good things in mind, but are you stripping them and allowing something new to form? Or are we taking from experiences that we feel have formed us into an expectation pattern, and now we are putting that onus on the new person?
Right.
Or are we giving this thing a fair chance to discover something new and different? Because a lot of times what I've learned is we are quick to tell people what works for us and what doesn't, but what has been didn't work, right? So that to me, that says maybe I should open up myself to rediscovery in one form or another.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So having been the actual divorcee,
okay,
who had to re-enter the dating world. It's an interesting thought. I think for me personally, I know I did not try to apply marital dynamics to dating somebody and getting to know them, because I was aware of the fact that being married is not the same as dating someone or being in a relationship with someone. So for me to walk into a situation, a brand new situation, and have those expectations of the other person to function in a way that they were married would not have worked, honestly, because I'm not in a marriage. And having been married for 20 years, I know what a marriage dynamic looked like. I was very familiar with how that actually worked. You know what I'm saying? And so for me to go into a relationship and think that this is what it was going to be, or even to have those expectations of the other person's, would have been wrong of me. That would have been unreasonable of me to have those expectations, because it just is not the same thing. I'll even make a finer point of it. The reality is that everybody is different. Everybody is different. We may have some similarities between the two of us, but we are different. And so for me to be with a person and to engage them, to date them, to relate to them, to talk to them, all of those things were different from the marriage, or even from the relationship that I had previously. Why? Because they're two different people. They are not the same person. Okay. And so for me to even take that mindset and to try to apply it to a new situation is a disservice to me, and a disservice to the person that I'm trying to engage with, the person that I'm interested in, because I'm treating them as if they are the same person that I was with before. And I think that's part of the problem. We walk into new situations thinking like they're the same old situation, when in fact they're not the same old situation. They're a new situation. The problem is the fact that we haven't adjusted our mind to realize and recognize that this is a new situation, which means I'm going to have to make some changes in order to accommodate and adjust to the new thing that's happening before me. I mean, it's often we treat the new thing like the old thing, and they're not the same. They're different. You know what I'm saying? They're completely different. It really means that I have to change this right here. I have to change my mind, and in changing my mind, my approach to the person has to change, because they are not the same person that I was dealing with before. It almost seems like, Charles, that we're stuck. We're stuck with where we were, and we really haven't moved on to the next thing, because we're still at that particular point in time. Which means I'm still thinking that I can still act the same way that I did. I can still do what I did. I can still behave the way that I did, and it be okay. When in reality, it's never okay. It's not cool. This is the reason why you get called out on what you get called out on, because you're functioning in a way that's not familiar to the person that you're with now, thinking that they're the old person. They're not the old person. They're the new person. And you haven't made that adjustment in your mind that this is somebody different. And so what was acceptable in the old relationship is not acceptable in the new one.
Wow, that's good. You know what's interesting about what you said is, and now it brings up an even bigger thing, is what happens when we come, like, well, I haven't been married, but when folks come out of that marriage, or even that very, very escalated relationship. Some people have been in escalated relationships where they have reached a lot of heights. They haven't been married, right? But they've been a lot of heights that was very much marriage-ish. You understand what I'm saying? That sort of thing, if you will. But they come out of them. And I think it's very interesting. And even for a person, that haven't been married but has been in these relationships, I think about how many of us, we quick to come out of a relationship, and we always carry out of it the bad. Think about it. Every time we're in something with somebody, it's not always bad. There's always something good about it, and whether the bad may outweigh the good, or vice versa. But there is a chance to pick from either tree when you're in the relationship. But most of us, when we leave, rarely do we leave with that. Like, you might have been influenced by a person and saw something, or went to some places that they showed you or revealed to you that you didn't know, or you picked up on some habits that you were like, you know what, that's not a bad thing. And it's not that you got to call out that change to your new person to let them know where you got it from. But the point I'm making is, we are so quick to put on the armor of bad, rather than to say, you know what, that didn't work.
Right.
But hey, you live to see life again. You move on. I took some positive things from it, even though it wasn't a altogether positive outlook. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so we have to say to ourselves when the next person doesn't deserve it, right? And we have definitely, most people, I know I've been guilty of it. You go into the relationship and it's a struggle because you kind of are accustomed to what you saw, you're accustomed to what you experienced. So when you come over, your first mind is put your dukes up, put your guard up, hold on, wait, hold, pause, all these things. Right. And it comes naturally to you, but we ignore the fact that we have to deprogram. It's fair to the other person, right? To deprogram before we up love, right? Deprogram before you up love, and try to say to yourself, I need to do this because it's fair not only to the other person but to myself. You got to be fair and true to you first. Right. And if you are going into it half-cocked and you are, you kind of in that blurred line. Everybody knows when they are free, and when you are in a blurred space. Right. We just aren't honest to admit it. But when you are really free to love, and you just say, look, I'm not perfect, and I'm a little this, that, and other, but guess what? My arms open, and I'm willing to gamble on the unknown because there is something that I want out of this experience. So I'm willing to gamble. And then we know the blurred space where it's a very much controlled environment. And right. You are, you get irritated when the person doesn't think like you or doesn't see life the way you do, doesn't see the end game the same as you. And I think that's wrong because, like I said, if I can't say anything enough, you can't expect a woman to perform like a wife who has no experience.
That's true.
There is a such thing in the athletic world as saying someone is naturally gifted. They have a natural ability, right? Okay. And so all of the practice and regimen that goes into that makes them great. So you could find a woman or a man that has natural pleasantries about them that would make it appear to be, oh, that will be a good man. He might be a good husband, or she might be wifey. It may look like that on the surface, but you still have to acknowledge that they have not played those roles. So it's not fair of me to expect a spousal experience in a single neighborhood. You understand what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. I definitely understand what you're saying. I want to go back to the point of the fact that all relationships that we have been in aren't all bad. They aren't. And I think we have a tendency to have a very skewed memory when it comes to the previous relationships that we've been in, especially if those relationships did not turn out the way that we wanted them to. We have a way of kind of putting them in a place that is so dark and so negative that we just fail to see any positivity that could have possibly have come out of. Well, that's not a realistic viewpoint of that relationship, because number one, you were in the relationship. So there had to have been something of value in order for you to have gotten into the relationship in the first place.
Wow.
I mean, why get into something? Why get into something that already looks bad? Why?
Right.
What's the point of doing that? No, there was something there that was good that you saw that you believe made it worthwhile into getting into. And I'll even say this about myself very personally. Yes, I'm divorced, but that doesn't mean my marriage was all bad. Let's be honest about this, y'all. It doesn't mean that every day that I was married was a terrible day. Come on. Really? Come on. No. That is an unrealistic viewpoint. And you're fooling yourself if you believe that to be true. You know why? Because again, I was a part of that marriage.
Wow.
And there was value in that marriage. There was something worthwhile in that marriage. And so I had to you have to see it for what it really is. Again, we have a way about us that particularly when we feel as though we've been done wrong, that we skew it to the point where it doesn't have any value at all.
Wow.
That it wasn't worthwhile. But
Yeah.
you were in it.
Yeah.
You were a part of it. Come on, man. Be truthful. Be honest for a change. And honestly admit that there was something of value in that relationship. That not every day that you were in that relationship was a bad day. There were some good days. There were some days that were absolutely fabulous. Okay? But that doesn't necessarily mean that a relationship is going to be able to last the test of time. And that's the truth of the matter. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about that because, again, I think we have a tendency to want to skew things to the point where they are so dark and so wrong that there was no value in it whatsoever. No, that's not true. That ain't true.
So
there were some good parts in there.
Yes. And so I believe a lot of this comes from, because you mentioned something about, there it wasn't all bad, so you know something about it made you get into it, right? Something about it made you get into it. Well, guess what? Most of attributes to, before we give ourselves an opportunity to see them, we experience them first.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where most of us go wrong, because once the experience foregoes the vision, now you're playing catch up. And a lot of times when you're playing catch up, your emotions are going to lose that race.
Okay.
Because once that part foregoes it, unless that person is deliberately slowing down to wait for you to catch up and get on the same page, you're going to spend the greater part of that relationship in regret. Because you know to yourself, maybe I should have waited to do this, because now I feel this grave imbalance. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't hear those words I heard in the first 2 weeks, 3 nights that we didn't go to sleep talking on the phone all night. Now this has shifted extremely. You know what I'm saying? The things are different. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Right. And not to get too far off track with this, but let me just say it like this. I think part of that problem comes in the fact that we aren't participating in the relationship actively. We're not being proactive. We're not proactive participants in our relationship. I've said this before. Often we push the autopilot button once we have captured that person. We push that autopilot button, and now we're just coasting along. Okay.
Wow.
But the reality is, in order to keep the relationship alive, in order to keep the relationship viable and vibrant, I have to, as a participant in this relationship, proactively participate, which means I need to communicate with you. I need to talk to you. I need to engage you, and you need to do the same with me. We can't get lazy in this and expect things to be okay. Yes, there should be a degree of comfortableness in this. Absolutely. We should feel comfortable enough with each other to be who we really are. But once I start pushing that autopilot button and we just kind of like flowing along, but there's no real intention behind it, there's no real direction behind it, we're just kind of just going along, then we're going to end up in a place where we are in a state of deterioration because we're not actively participating in each other's lives. We're not actively engaging one another in terms of what's happening with the both of us. We got engaged, but we didn't remain engaged.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to leave that right there because that's a whole different show.
Right. And we're not going to go off too far.
We're not going to go off on that one.
I want to trigger that to say a lot of times that's a very familiar concept that you're speaking about, because it happens all the time where we go from hot to lukewarm to cold. Yeah. And that occurs in relationships / marriages because we don't do enough of intentional check-ins.
Yeah.
And when I say intentional check-ins, you absolutely have to check to see, is your intent for this the same or has it changed, right? Because with the way this world is and the way things move and the way things are in life, somebody can be distracted. They can their intentions can change, their expectations can change, because we live in this free world where people want to live and love without walls, without structure. So
Okay.
when anytime you have things like that, you have to make sure to just, for your own peace of mind. And even when you're having that conversation, sometimes people will say, let's just say a woman to come home and say, honey, I miss you today. I just want to make sure, are you still loving me like I love you? You know, maybe they're joking, but they're trying to check in to see. And in those responses, body language is paramount.
Mm-hmm.
And even what you hear, sometimes people will just oblige you, be like, yeah, I'm good. And in their mind, I can't stand them, and I'm really over this, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to have that kind of relationship where you can get this honesty out of one another,
right?
Because we can get in these distant places.
Okay, but since we're gonna go down this road,
no,
man, trying to go down this road, but now we're gonna go down this road a little bit further. Okay, so and I'm going to have a moment of transparency with everybody that's listening and that's watching. I don't mind. Okay. It's cool. So it's the reason why me and my current wife Maria go out, or rather travel, on a yearly basis.
Okay,
is because I recognized that I needed to spend time with my wife. I needed to be intentional and deliberate in spending time with my wife. It's one of the things that I regret that I did not do in my first marriage. At least from my part in it, and I do own a lot of what happened with it in the first place. I take responsibility for my actions or my inactions. But I realized that in my first marriage, I did not take as many trips as I should have. And let me just replace trips with the word intentionality. I was not as intentional in my first marriage as I am in my second marriage. And that was one of the things that I regretted that I wasn't. I did not create a space where we could come away from the workings of life as life ordinarily is, that we could come away from the busyness of life, from the distractions of life, and just have that time to spend with each other and be with each other and remind one another why we are together. It's the reason why I am so adamant about taking annual vacation trips every year, to make sure that I'm not just checking in, Charles, but that I'm all in every time.
Yeah.
I'm all in. And so I'm going to be deliberate with this. It's funny because even earlier this year, my wife was trying to convince me not to do it. And I'm thinking to myself, no, we need to do this. We need to do this. And I mean, listen. I love going to the beach. That's my jam all day long. And if I can go out of the country to go to the beach, that's what the brother's doing. Oh, we're going out of the country and we're going to the beach. Okay. But honestly, that's secondary. That's secondary to the fact that I need to spend time with you, because we both have busy lives. Yeah. She's doing the retail thing and handling, bills and raising kids and doing all. I'm doing the podcast. Yeah. Okay, I'm doing the podcast. I'm teaching. I'm ministering in church. I'm reaching out to others, and so we have busy lives. We have schedules that keep us from each other. These are the things that keep us from each other. If you're living life and you're doing life, you're going to have life things that keep you from your one. Absolutely. But now I have to be deliberate in participating in my relationship, in my marriage, to make sure that I have a marriage. So I go out away from life as it is here where I live, and I go to a place where we can both not be distracted with other things, but that we can both be focused on each other so that we can have conversations with each other, so that we can see where each other are. If I'm not doing that, then I'm not doing my job as a husband at the end of the day. And that's real talk right there. That's real talk. I'm just saying this is the reason why I do what I do. What you got?
So you brought up an amazing point. Listen, I'm going to tap on it just a teensy bit. Okay. Don't get nervous because I got this. Okay, I got that. But there's a point I can't help but missing this.
Oh Lord, here we go.
What's so deep about your testimony, if you will, is now I know without going too deep into it. In your former life, you were in a position where you were always with your wife. If you get my drift, you were in your ministry. You were always with your wife. Okay. You were always with your family. The thing is, you probably were thinking. When I was listening to that, I said, "This is getting even deeper," because you were with them all the time, except the separate time, and this happens in many churches and ministries, right? That separate and deliberate time for your partner. Because listen, I remember you and I having conversations. No, we can't take it too deep for y'all. But anyway, me and Adam are having these conversations. And just like you're saying now, like, of course, like you said, this ex-wife wasn't nothing bad, funny, all that. It wasn't nothing bad. We were all cool people. So the thing is, back then, you were with this person all in a specific capacity. Let's put it like that. But when you and I would have those conversations, you would echo just what you were saying. You would say, "Yeah, this and this, but I think I need this." It's kind of like it's an emotional thing, right? It was an emotional thing that I believe you felt was detached from you. While you might have been physically there, but emotionally, you didn't feel the tie that you needed to feel. And I believe that was probably a big part, because I would observe, even when I tell you, I would be looking, because I was trying to understand it, right? And I would be like, "This is really deep," but it's deep to, like you're saying, it's deep to have to be around someone but not be next to them. If you get my drift, that's a deep thing. And so I like how you deliberately reface that concept going forward. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
No, and that's the truth of the matter. Again, you can be with somebody, but then not be with somebody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Be in the same house, eat the same food, sleep in the same bed, but you're not with them. And again, I attribute that to not being intentional in terms of being in the relationship. Again, we can all do life. We all have lives. We are all busy and doing this and doing that. But it's not until you get purposeful and intentional with what you are doing as a relationship partner that you actually create a space and a time for you and that person to be together alone. And that's where I'm at now. The fact that I did not do that then. So if I want to see things differently, if I want to see things happen differently, that means I got to do something differently now. I can't do the same old thing that I did before, because the same thing that I did before didn't work. It ended. And so now I got to do something new and different in order to see a different result. And this is where I'm at with this, in terms of the fact that if I want to see this second one succeed where the first one failed, I have to do something different. I'm not talking about nobody else. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about I have to be deliberate. I have to be intentional in terms of creating, again, that space where we can go together and be together for a period of time. You know what I'm saying? Again, that's how that, at least from my understanding, that's how you survive, and that's how you thrive. That's how you build what you have. That's how you sustain what you have. That's how you grow what you have. It was interesting because we were having we were joking and laughing the whole time, but then we were also having conversations with each other. We was okay, where are we? We're here. Are we here? Do we need to get updated? Do I need to update with this or something? And this you got to stay posted. You got to stay current with what's happening with them, so you don't grow apart from one another because you haven't spent any time with each other. But again, we have digressed off the topic, y'all.
No, that's good. No, the point I was going to ask you, we already here now. This is what I was going to ask you, Adam.
Yes, man.
Because, and this is for like the men that are listening or the women that are listening. So coming out of a scenario like as you just described and choosing a different mindset going forward, right? Mm-hmm. Is that mindset self-propelled by you alone, or is it encouraged at all? Or I guess like how I said last week on the show, how it takes two, like when you're in that campfire, to get it good, it takes two of y'all rubbing them sticks together.
True.
Not just one. Both people have to have a responsibility in keeping that fire, right?
Right.
But what I'm saying to you is, when you made this your mind to say, I'm going to do this and this is the path I'm taking, was that enough alone, or did you receive reciprocal encouragement from your wife to cause you to be more encouraged and inclined to do this?
I get what you're saying. Yes. Okay. So, and I'm gonna kind of answer that. I'm gonna also answer Bruce's question as well at the same time. So for me, and this is just my own personal philosophy. Okay. I needed to do what I believed I needed to do. Outside of what she may expect or want, I needed to do what I knew to do. Okay. So yeah, for me, because if I'm being honest, again, yeah, I can get lazy and sit back and chill. Absolutely. I can just keep what I've got and just keep it rolling, keep it moving. We can just, hit the status quo, as it were. But again, I wanted more because I knew that life had more, which means if I wanted more, I was going to have to give more. Not only was I going to have to give more, but I was going to have to do it differently than what I did before. I've got to do this in a way that pushes me in a place that might be uncomfortable for me. Yet I understand that if I get to this uncomfortable place, it's going to yield some dividends that I did not have from the previous relationship. Okay. And so, yeah, Bruce, she might not require that. Hey, that's cool. I understand that. She may not require that, but I require that. Because I know that it can be better than what it is right now. So that means I need to make an investment in this. Regardless of whether she wants me to invest in it or not, I have to make an investment in this. And see, this is where okay, brothers, let me just talk to you for a hot second. If you want it to be better, you're going to have to make it better. Why are you waiting on her? You set the tone. You set the rhythm. She's marching to your pace. What are you going to do to make it better? You got to put your time in. You got to invest yourself in this in order to make it what it's supposed to be. Why are we waiting on somebody else to do something for us when we need to do it for ourselves? It's never been like that. It's always been you set the pace. Yeah. You set the pace, she'll follow along. So yeah, the conversation that we had earlier this year, well, babe, this is happening and this is increasing, and we might not have money for that. And I'm like, we are not doing this. You know why we're not doing this? It's because it's a requirement for the sustaining of our relationship. It's a requirement for the sustainability of our relationship. It's a requirement for the survival of our relationship. It's a requirement for the success of our relationship. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
She may not require it, but I know what it's going to take in order for us to make it the long run. Yeah. And that's real talk right there. It's about me doing what I know I need to do in order for this to successfully move forward. And so, yeah, I'm already thinking about next year. I love the beach. I wish I could live on the beach. That's my plan one day. I'm going to go and I'm going to retire on the beach.
You'll live on the beach.
That's my plan. That's my plan, okay? But at the same time, the higher purpose in this is to make sure that I stay with the one that I love.
Wow.
That's the plan, baby, all day long. Don't want to be with nobody else. How am I going to keep her? I'm going to make sure that we spend time together. I'm going to make sure that we are with each other. I'm going to make sure that we have that space that we can, where it's just the both of us. And I'm telling you, if I would have put her on the mic right now, she would agree that she enjoys the time that we spend together, even though she protests at moments in time. When she finally gets there, she's like, "Oh, baby, I'm so glad you brought me. I'm so happy right now. Oh
my God, you brought me." No, this is good stuff, man. People need, like you said, I'm asking you certain questions because sometimes, like you said, people don't understand the underworkings of why certain things work. We can say things, but unless we have some context behind it, people can get lost in it. But this is good stuff, and it's like to me it reinforces the importance of making sure you are where you belong. Yeah, right. You are where you belong, and when I say that, I'm saying that to say with the right person.
With the right person.
When you with the right person, when you're with the right person, let's see, how do I say it in the car? In the car world, if you ever had a car issue or something broke down, a lot of times one of the common things that breaks in some cars, some of the older cars, this doesn't happen in some of the newer that much, but in the older cars, they would say, "What's wrong with your car?" "I need to get a new starter." And what that means is there's something in that ignition coil that's dull and not connecting. That's firing, sparking. So the point is, when a man is in the right scenario, relationship, marriage, that woman, she has a direct spark to him. And when she communicates effectively to him, deals with him, reciprocate what he gives. It's like a constant, beautiful thing happening in motion. And if you've never experienced it, you don't understand it. But when it happens, when someone is right there with you and gets you, but not there to antagonize you, not there to compete with you, not there to ridicule you, argue with you, but if you're there to ignite that person, that man will go to the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
But the key is, it's not enough of that. And this is why I asked you that question about, I was trying to get you to understand what I was meaning when I was saying, yes, you said you needed to do this for you. But there was also, I would be remiss to believe that a lot of this you are doing is not encouraged by your wife.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely is.
So men just don't spring into action for no reason. We spring when we are ignited. Yeah. And so this is why proper relationship is in order. Like a lot of times we get into these things because it's a thing. And then we realize it ain't no thing, right? And we sit there and we regress, we get mad, we feel all these kind of ways. But when that person fits your world, fits your life, it hits different, feels different. You want to smile when you see them. It's, you just, a lot of times we can't quite shake these ugly historical things that we've come through by way of experiences and relationships, loves and marriage. Yes, we've all been through the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right.
But I have to repeat to my own self and to everyone else, the next person doesn't deserve your fallout, right? The next person doesn't deserve. And so to kind of circle this back in, when we were talking about earlier about basically about people having these expectations, let's just say people coming into these relationships with expectations that don't match where the relationship currently is. And I'm gonna take it I'll go to the Bible for a brief second.
Oh Lord, not the Bible.
Let's talk about the one popular one. He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, right?
Wow.
And obtaineth favor. We got to be mature enough to say, this is good, but it's not great yet because the favor ain't there yet.
Okay.
So you don't expect, favor doesn't come unless something favorable has occurred.
Wow.
Right? So we can't, we're trying to get to favor in this in a stagnant situation or a situation that has not evolved there yet, right? It's not to say that it won't and it can't, but we have to learn to love and deal where we are. It's enough to say, it's enough to be like, oh, you ain't ready, you ain't serious. I'm not a husband, I'm not a wife, nor have I been, right? But I have what's in me to be all of those things, but I'm realistic enough with myself to understand, right? So no, Demetra, faith comes with works. But anyway, so the point I'm making, favor, seriously, favor, I'm just joking, but favor, it comes from favorable occurrences. And a lot of times that just really means I'm gonna give you a whole lot of something when you take a step out on nothing, right? I got you from there. And so that's the biggest thing for a lot of us, is that we are sometimes with men, we have to stop arguing with ourselves that favor doesn't reside over there, right? Favor is waiting on us. We have to convince ourselves to talk ourselves off the ledge to be like, listen, favor is over there. Stop trying to get favor in unfavorable circumstances.
Wow.
These relationships aren't covered. This sex isn't sanctioned. Right? This, that, and the other that we doing and want to do, none of it is rooted in anything. But we expect everything from it. Let me tell you from my own book. I know so many people that will sit there and fuss you down to the ground about what we doing, what we gonna do, the favor coming, the favor. No, it ain't here yet. Is this favorable? No. So you gotta wait until the favor comes, right? That's gonna come from the steps of that man making a move. Yes, for real. Yes. Demetra, favor is on people's life from inception. They come into the world with the favor of God on their life. Faith is what builds the muscles of that favor. That's all. Faith is an exercise that builds the muscle for that favor, so that you can walk under the mantle of the favor and have the strength to carry it. It takes strength to carry favor. You can't be weak with favor. So that's why you got to exercise that favor, with your faith. But anyway.
Come on, preacher man. Don't get scared now.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say on tonight is we just, like I said, we have to be honest. And it's like I said, we got to stop having these unrealistic expectations. Yes, you are a husband. This woman isn't. So either be realistic or say to yourself, we might need to go back to my wife, right? If you can't humble yourself down to a single platform again, which your reality is, then maybe you should have said to yourself, maybe I shouldn't have gotten divorced because I don't like this world. Who really wants to be in a single life, right? Nobody. Right. But same with the women. I understand that most everybody wants a fairy tale story and look out their window and see the kids playing, dogs jumping up and down, nobody barking, a white fence, and and like Adam said, we want to go to Dubai and all of these trips. And yes, great, right? But it's not to even say that it just takes money to go and book and do these things, right? But aside from that, you still got to be realistic. Yes, I was a wife. Yes, I'm used to certain provisions, certain comforts, certain psychological reassurance, certain partnership benefits, certain this. I don't have to worry about intimacy. I already got legs in my bed every night. All of that is fine, right? But when you come out and you come from all of that, we all have to be honest and say, yes, I had that. But right now, I have been reset by life. And because I have been reset by life, I have to be realistic and treat my next accordingly. Because whatever happened over there, that person didn't do it. Right? And then another thing we have to always get out of ourselves is this. We have this mindset that if a person ain't talking right, you ain't ready, you not ready, you this, that, and the other. I'm about to go over here. What you got to understand, Adam, with this is over there begins, over there, I wrote it down, over there begins with over here if we don't change us. It's going to be the same thing. If you don't change you taking your ugly you right on over there. And yes, it might be a different person. And yes, you may have a new concept to the beginning, but all of you still taking you over there. And once them emotions get into play, you will be revealed. And when you will be revealed, you're going to have to deal with that same discussion of change, right? A lot of us want people to smell our stink and become immune to it. No, how about you pray you wash it off, clean your unclean mind, and to get yourself together. Some of us stop trying to make people deal with that nastiness. Some people, Adam, have some nasty demeanors and attitudes. Who in the world wants to live amongst that?
Wow.
Come on, people want to live in harmony. They didn't say perfection, but you want to live in harmony. We're not perfect, but you at least want to live in harmony, right? Can we reason and get along together?
Yeah.
Go ahead while I cut this light on. Go ahead, keep talking now.
Oh, why? You gonna let me talk while you gonna fix the light? Okay, fine. I mean, okay, so I believe Charles's point is that if you're going to enter into a new relationship, you have to enter in that new relationship with a new mindset. You can't bring the old mindset into a new situation because you'll end up with the same old situation that you had previously. If I never learned the lessons that I learned in my first marriage, then I would have been prone to repeating those same mistakes, those same proclivities, those same issues over again, and would have ended up divorced again. We and I understand that as human beings, we don't really like change. We are reticent to change. We are reluctant to change. We like things the way that they are, and we want them to continue to be as they are. We want things to persist as they are. But whenever change shows up, it makes us uncomfortable. And this is kind of what we're talking about today, is that in order for you to find someone, be with someone, be in a relationship with someone, it's going to mean that there is going to be a degree and a level of uncomfortableness. It's going to mean that you're going to be inconvenienced in terms of being with somebody else. Because if I'm not adjusting, and if you're not adjusting, and we're both staying the same, then this relationship has no chance of success because neither one of us want to change.
Yeah,
it doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen. You have got to change. You've got to make the adjustment. You've got to make that move that allows you to grow in a new place and in a new way. We're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything if we're not changing. When I first started dating Maria, I obviously, because of the fact that she was Mexican and I was black, I knew from day one, I was like, oh, This is different. This is not what I'm used to. This is different. And from that point, I realized, and I believe that she also realized, that we were going to have to do some changing on the inside of us in order to accommodate the other person.
Yeah.
A lot of us aren't accommodating. We don't make space for other people. It's either my way or the highway. You either do it the way I want you to do it, or you can hit the bricks. But isn't that the reason why you're alone?
Wow.
Isn't that the reason why you're still in that apartment by yourself? Isn't that the reason why you got to buy your own birthday gifts, take your own self out, go to the movies by yourself? Because you don't want to accommodate somebody else. You don't want to change and adjust to have somebody else in your own life.
Yeah.
So my question is, here's a good thing, Charles. My question is this. As we approach the end of 2024, about to go into 2025, when are you finally going to change and allow that person, watch this, that God has for you to come into your life? Because we've been waiting on you to change. We've been waiting on you to make room in your life for the thing that he has for you. But because you refuse to change, he can't give you what's yours because you don't have no space and you haven't made space for it. There is no accommodation for the new thing.
Wow.
So what we doing with these last few days of 2024? What we doing? Are you going to change or are you going to stay the same? What's up? Talk to me.
Listen, that's phenomenal, man. Listen, here's an important part to mention. When it comes to the blurred lines that many of us find ourselves in between and in and around in some of these relationships, it is important to know that blurred lines are a shared responsibility. We love to put the blame on somebody. We love to say this ain't that because of you. This should be that, but you didn't. Why is this? Because you won't, right? And at the end of the day, we just don't want to look at each other and say, okay, did I do something to get you to thinking and feeling that way? Or this, that, and the other. We haven't sat there and had that fair conversation as to why we are where we are. Because no place, you don't arrive anywhere by yourself in a relationship. Contrary to what we may believe, we get to these places by some way or another an affiliation of the other person to some degree. So whether it may be a little or a lot, something is in there. But it's worth the conversation to kind of work past it. Instead of, like you said, if we want to go on to 2025, let's stop blaming and let's start looking inwardly. It's never just one person. Look at what you're contributing or not. Because whether you know it or not, there are some people that are in relationships and have said to themselves, you know what? I'm clocking out. That's an issue. So if you're not going to clock all the way out, it's an issue to clock out and remain. Clock all the way out if you're going to clock out. Hit your card and say, thanks for the experience. But don't clock out and remain. I don't want to smell a dead body. Right? I don't want to be in a relationship with a dead body. I don't need your inactivity, your ignoring, your mad, your whatever. I don't need all that. Nobody else does either. People want to be in a relationship with living pulses, people that breathe and talk and say what's on their mind.
Yes.
All this getting mad and going. People are out here remaining in whatever the relationship is, whether it's situational, relational, engaged, whatever, and they're in it. They're too cowardly to leave it, but they want to remain in it and treat you in an indirect, ignorant way. Like they want to be angry, or it's like a silence that you can feel. It's an energy. You can feel when a person has decided on something without cueing you into it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to go over here and do. Guess what? I'm done. I'm just done. No, you're not, because you ain't turned in the keys. That's when you're done. Whatever the case is, when you're done, you clean out your locker. Right? Don't be the coward and be done, but just be waiting for something to change.
Right.
If you're done, because you got to know, once you say to yourself, I'm unplugging myself from this oxygen tank, you're going to flatline, and eventually you're going to smell.
Wow.
So that the smell gives it up every time. When you stink, you stink.
Yeah.
So we got to rid ourselves of this stinky behavior and just keep it a buck and keep the pause going.
Yeah.
That's how we keep it, with the ability to keep it fresh, is keep the pause going.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this last thing, and I'm gonna let this go, and we're gonna move on, I guess, or close out, or whatever it is that we're gonna do.
All right.
So I think my impotence, my push, my motive in regards to announcing the fact that if you aren't changing or accommodating the other person that you want to be in relationship with, that you're not going to have them, is the fact that often, because we aren't changing and we aren't adjusting, we miss a lot of opportunities that could really help us and bless us. We miss a lot of people that could really bring us to a whole new place, because we aren't willing to change. We aren't willing to open up ourselves to something new and something different. If we continue to do the same old thing, the same old way that we've always done it, then we're going to miss out on a lot of people, and we're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. We've already missed out on a lot of opportunities in 2024, Charles.
Yeah, a whole lot.
And we missed out on a lot of opportunities in 2023. And we missed out a lot of opportunities in 2022, 2021, and 2020, for sure, 2020. Yeah. But what about this coming year? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters of the court, we can do better than what we've done. It's just going to require that we be open to the idea of change. And really being honest with the person that we're with, or even going to be with, that when we start back on the dating scene, that we have a place that allows us to talk to them from an honest spot, an honest place, so that they can get to know us and we can get to know them. And then if we find that we have interest in them, then allowing us to change so that they can fit in our lives and we can fit in theirs. That's all the brother's trying to say. That's it. Don't miss your opportunity. Don't miss your opportunity. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Don't let stubbornness and attitude be the thing that withholds you from what's rightfully yours.
Yeah,
a lot of times we self-sabotage our own self.
We do.
The things are right in our face. Yeah. But because the things are not acting or reacting in a way that we think works, which in most cases ends up being stinking thinking, because what you think worked has not worked for you thus far, but you want to hold the next person to dysfunctional standards. I don't want to get into a boat with you got holes in it. I'm sorry. I stay on the shore. So my point is, people got to understand that. Stop trying to bait into somebody into your misery. Nobody want to deal with that. If you're not willing to come out and let's walk on this shore together and find the right boat to row together in, I don't want to get into a boat that I already saw shot up. I already saw got hole is halfway sinking. Why do I want to get in there, add my emotional weight to it and make it sink? Yeah. It's already sinking with you in it. So yeah.
Right.
All right. How this get into this kind of show? But anyway, all right. We appreciate you guys. You know, I'm bringing up years of things that they coming up in my spirit. Anyway, appreciate you guys for tuning in to another episode of Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, where, you know, today we talked about the blurred lines of love. You know, we talked about, you know, how we need to check ourselves in these scenarios and basically say to ourselves, does your status mirror your truth? You know, basically, if let's try to practice loving where we are for a moment. Let's enjoy one another right here. Let's not always be here and be saying, now we need to be right there in exactly 6 months, right? That's feasible to you. It's feasible for you. It's feasible to me to get to know you right here, right? And then we progress together, right? Let's lose all these lofty goals until we sit down and go through this vision board together. Whatever, Adam. I wasn't no trigger nothing. No, I was just thinking back in life, and I think about how they say in church, when I think of the goodness, when I think of the foolishness, I get triggered. But anyway,
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, bro.
Anyway, all right, we'll definitely hope to see you guys next. Well, let's see. Next week, will we be? What's next week? Next week is the day after Christmas.
Day after Christmas.
Well, we'll play that by ear. We'll play that one by ear because Christmas is on Wednesday.
Right,
so we'll let you guys know for sure if we do or not. But I know Christmas on Wednesday and Thursday is the day after. So who knows what's happening, Right. I may be on my flight to Bolivia. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I'm joking. Anyway, all right, man. See you guys. Well, wait. I need to do some more stuff here. Just hold on for a second. Next. I'm sick of this.
What, dude? Foolishness.
Unplugged for real. That's it. Yes. All right. So, Adam, you got on the show, and here you are describing the movie Pretty Woman, where you just pull up in this expensive car and say, "Let's just travel the world." No, I'm kidding.
Really? You know what? Hey, let me just say something real quick. Let me just say something real quick.
Oh God, no, I'm kidding. Listen. I'm sorry.
No. Let me just say this real quick, and I really meant to say this during the show. Listen. It doesn't matter where you go, as long as you go.
Yes, okay? For sure.
It doesn't matter how much money you spend, even though you should spend some. Okay, you should spend some money, but it really doesn't matter as to how much you spend. It needs to come from your heart. They need to know that you're doing this from a place of love and the fact that you are still in love with them. That's where it needs to come from.
Yeah, it has to be.
It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter where you go. Now, I like to go to the beach, and I got a thing about going out of the country to go to the beach. Okay, fine, that's me. But do what you can afford. Do what makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
What's up, man?
Yeah, that's what's up.
Stuff. He done preached today. He's a man done preach. He done preach. He gave us a love novel, love lesson. Where of all the shows, where is Maria? Now Maria should have been on there. She probably had work blushing, listening to her in her earbuds. Anyway, probably. No, I'm just kidding. But that was a good show, man. That was good heart. Sometimes we need to be reminded of good old fashioned, genuine, heartfelt, relational, stuff, man. And
Deion said you hating. Deion said you hating.
Yeah, Deion, I'm hating. Talking about going on trips and all of this, man. Forget all that.
I've been trying to get him to go, y'all. I've been trying to get him to go with us, but he be like,
I will say that. He would always say that he was. He always would invite me to go. He would. Adam, next year I'm going to go ahead and take you up on it. You'll see. Anyway, all right, y'all.
When I see it, but anyway.
Yes. Y'all keep us in your prayers, and we're going to, I'm glad. I hope everyone got something positive out of today's show. And, that's what we aspire to do. So appreciate you all for supporting on today, and we'll see you guys. Have happy holidays. Have a Merry
holidays,
Christmas.
everybody. Merry Christmas.
If for any reason we don't see you next week, have a happy New Year too.
Happy Yom Kippur.
All right.
Those who
Be safe. All right, y'all.
Peace, y'all. Peace.